important things is to always be able to discern your friends. Well, they say they're friends for a reason, for a season, and for a lifetime.
Oh, I believe that for
Yeah.
real.
So for a reason, you need to know for all the friends that you have, who to turn to for when you have which problem. There's someone who's going to help you through a financial crisis, another one will help you through an emotional crisis, another one will help you through a spiritual journey. So if you know who to turn to when you're facing a specific crisis, then that also helps you through the process. Because if you're going to be talking to someone who is not spiritual and you're talking to them about your spiritual journey or your spiritual challenges or issues that you're facing or doubts that you have against your spirituality, then they may not be of assistance to you.
Or once they may shut you down.
Exactly. Or even steer you clear. They're like, okay, well, after listening to them, you're like, oh, well, maybe I actually don't need this God. Maybe I can just, do this on my own.
And wing it by myself.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, that's also an important aspect. Speaking of spirituality, that's also one of the things I adopted because you'd be surprised that, and I found it very weird, because Christianity was brought to Africans by the missionaries.
Yeah.
And if you compare Christianity in the UK, so in the specific area where I was, and what we have in Africa, it's very different.
I know. Those guys forgot about it a long time ago.
I mean, they've made it in life. They have very limited problems, if at all any. Yeah. They have no reasons to sit down and think of a greater being other than them and to thank them for the life that they have, because for them everything is there. For us, we have to actually work for it in Africa.
Just a minute. So are you saying we are more of Christians because we are poor?
Well, it's unfortunate. We had that discussion with some of my African friends,
right,
from Nigeria and Zambia and Uganda, and we came to that conclusion because we were looking around and we were like, okay, we were like, how comes even if you go to any church in the UK, any area, as long as it's dominated by blacks, for lack of a better word, they're the ones who make the majority of the congregation.
Churchgoers, yeah.
Yes, the churchgoers. So we had that discussion and we were like, why is it that it's easier for Africans, and not just away, but even here, when we are here, if you go to a church, I mean, even us right now, if we just join hands and open a church here right by the corner, we're going to have congregants, right?
Yeah, true.
So why is it so easy for Africans to just believe in this God and give their all, and even when they have nothing to give, they will still give? And it was because the conclusion we came to, which is of course debatable, is because there's so much despair, and it's like there's so much strife in Africa. We are facing so many problems, and sometimes you just need to have hope and believe in a higher being that will deliver you through that process.
Right.
In the UK, they don't have those problems because life is so easy for them. They don't have life is so easy for them out there.
Are you saying we've actually? So you're saying that we are better Christians again because we are poor, but are you also saying that we were taught the wrong doctrine? I hear what you're saying, and it's true. But I know a lot of wealthy people who are very staunch Christians.
Yes, that.
So, what is that? And also, do we view God? I think it's this prosperity gospel nonsense that has come to this continent.
Yeah, true.
That God,
that's also another
that
problem.
If you believe in God, you're gonna be rich. Like that's the only reason you should believe in God. But as long as you have everything, you don't need God. Like God is your means to wealth, your avenue to riches. And I understand that being that prosperity gospel. I'll call it a lie. I don't know what you call it. Because when you are, fine, you go to a place where you find, I have known you to be a very deeply spiritual person for a long time. I remember, just the God in you is the one that took me to the church that we went to.
Oh yes, I remember. Yeah, that was almost a decade ago.
I know, and I felt it, man. And we went for a whole week, was it?
Yeah, we did. It was
It was amazing.
Yeah, it was a whole week.
It was amazing. I loved it. I would not have gone to that church if it wasn't for you. But I'm telling you, I got something from that church.
That, yeah.
It didn't make me rich. You know, so here you are, a person who's always been deeply spiritual, you know, and grateful and all those things, and you go to a place where they're just like meh.
It's the opposite.
Yeah. But also you're saying that during that journey of yours, there's a place you found that your spirituality was heightened.
Yes, it was.
Were you poor? Were you
I mean,
hopeless? Are you
no, I wasn't hopeless. I wasn't poor. I was actually at a very nice place.
Yeah.
Most people have sat down and looked at my life and they're like, you are blessed. And I'm like, yes, I am. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
But let me just say, the idea I had of Christianity is different from what I found when I got to the UK.
Isn't it lovely to travel?
Yes, it is.
It's like when I went to Israel, I thought it would just be Jesus everywhere.
I know.
You know, like they would not give a hoot, man.
Yeah, that's
And they
true.
didn't have anything nice to say about him. You know, so yeah.
And it's a shame anyway.
It is. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I can see where your disenchantment.
Well, I was just, honestly, the gospel came from the West. I expected more. And I got there, I was so disappointed. I was like, oh no, oh my goodness, what is this? But then, still at the end of the day, I was still able to I found a very nice church and it was very welcoming. And again, as I was saying, it was part of part of the support systems that actually helped me to, you know, it made my life easier. And it actually made a difference that someone cared about you. And if you missed church for one Sunday, someone would notice, you know.
Yeah, because there are so few people. To
Even
follow up on
in
anyway.
Kenya,
Nobody does.
no one would even notice if you didn't go to church for a whole year, unless you told people bye. No one would notice, to be honest.
But here you're so few. If you don't show up, guys call you.
Guys, yeah, because what happens is when you get there, then it's like a family adopts you. One of the Christian families adopts you.
Super.
Yeah, so they will know. They'll be like, we haven't seen you in a while. Are you okay? Someone always checking up on you, you know, and that also encourages you to you know, to like just stay in there and be in there and tap from the gospel that was on the other side.
So now that you know you are so disappointed to find that they gave us water and drank wine. What did you find about the gospel itself, the way it was preached?
What struck me about the gospel is that it is not as hyped as we have it here in Kenya. Gospel it's very simple, and basically they used to have conversations with the congregants.
Right.
They would not. It's like the way how we are doing it right now.
Yes.
So there would just be someone on the pulpit, and he would just be talking to people, and he would call out people's names. It was really practical.
It was a conversation.
It was a conversation. It was really practical, and it was systematic. That's another thing. It was systematic. It's not like you just sit down and you decide today we're going to do this book and next week we're going to do something that is not related. So it was really systematic. So at the end of 1 month, you will have studied something and you'll be like, okay, for this month, this is what we covered in church.
There's a theme.
Yes, there's a theme. And what struck me also was the simplicity of the gospel.
Yeah.
There's no complications, and they just come as they are, as human beings. They do not sell themselves to be any beings higher than the congregants.
Ooh, yeah.
So you'd get there was no fancy dressing up, you know. Like the first Sunday I went to church, I was all dressed up in my Sunday dress.
That's
how we do it.
Dress, yeah, Sunday
Yeah,
best.
yeah,
Sunday best.
exactly.
Yeah.
You wear your Sunday best, and I went and I was all made up, and I was the only one. I was standing out, and I'm like, and then someone told me that's not how we do it here, because we're here. It's all about the heart. We don't care much about
the exterior.
The exterior.
Your presentation.
Exactly. So it's all about the heart. They have really come down to the level whereby they can relate with you one-on-one, and they are very much accessible. They were always there, and they would always encourage you, and they would have a session, and they invite you, and they're like, if there's anything you feel, the pastoral team is all the way at the front, and they're going to sit there for the next 20-30 minutes waiting to talk to you and pray with you in person. That is one thing that really, I mean, I felt like if there's something I would have wanted to bring back home, it would be that. Just to have the pastoral team to be accessible. Yeah. Not for you to book for counseling sessions with the pastors, not for you to have to call to book for an appointment, and you'll probably talk to the associate pastor, not even the pastor himself, because he's busy, or you know, or it's like you have to be vetted to have a good reason.
Why you want to
It's
see?
like I would like to talk to the pastor. Is there is there something specific you want to discuss? Is it something I can help you with, or
or even you'll access them because of who you are as well.
exactly who you are.
Yeah, and you can't access them because of who you are as well.
Yeah, because and after church, people would actually sit down and take time to talk to each other, and you would get to know. They were like, you have to know someone new every Sunday. You have to introduce yourself to someone new.
Yeah.
So people were never in a hurry to drive off to wherever, for their nyamachomas and the entertainment in the afternoon to entertain the kids. No, people would hang around for a good 30 minutes just talking and ministering to each other and just, getting to know you.
Yeah.
And one of the things they used to tell us was, when someone asks you, how are you? You should actually answer the question. Don't say I'm fine.
I tell you, it's the Kenyan phenomenon.
You're not fine. How are you? Just tell me how you are. How was your week? Was it productive? So that's the culture we always had. You just get to know someone and what they're going through at that moment and how you can best assist them.
Me, I love it.
Yeah,
knowing you, I think this was like a birthday for you. This was like, what?
Yeah, it was really interesting. And then also, it was different. The praise and worship was different. It was not as noisy, so to say, because the truth is, I totally enjoy, like the praise and worship in Kenya, but
did you leave them with that at least?
Oh, we tried it. So there's a time we tried doing that with a group of other Africans.
Right.
So we got some Africans and you're like, you know what?
Noise.
Let's just try and teach them how to do it.
Yeah.
We did it one Sunday. It was really enjoyable. They enjoyed it, but then it wasn't sustainable.
People didn't come back to church?
No, they did come back, but then you would not be able to sustain that. In terms of, it's like how they are used to worshipping is different from how we do it. So it's like trying to tell Kenyans to actually calm down, and just talk.
Don't make so much
don't
noise.
make noise. And then you don't need like 2, 3, 5 speakers on surround system. You just need one is enough, as long as everyone can hear.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have 10 backup musicians. You can just have the lead singer. Well, it can't happen. Yeah. But that's exactly what was happening there. It was just one lead singer and one backup, and the rest was the band. Yeah. And it was just beautiful music. So for me, the music was just awesome.
And so it helped you through, man. So yeah.
Yes, it did.
That was
something
cool.
to look forward to every Sunday.
Yeah,
I mean, something to look forward to every Sunday.
And not to actually be in a rush to be able to go home. Cool. Oh my gosh, this is such an interesting perspective.
Yeah, so
let's start a church.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe you should. Maybe you should. But for me, what struck, it was just the simplicity and the humility that the church had, and the accessibility.